First at 4, it has been a stressful 24 hours for this mother and son. Prosecutors charged the 10-year-old with assault before changing their minds. You'll hear from the boy's mom. Paula.
Well, it's being dubbed the big show tonight between Biden and Harris with the debates. But the question is, will it translate into people doing the big show up at the polls? We talked to voters to find out how these debates are really translating. Ben,
it is gorgeous out there, Paula. The dry air is getting rid of the last of the clouds, and we're settling into a nice stretch of weather. But is it going to be too nice? We'll explain right now. First at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, criminal charges against this 10-year-old Canton Township boy had the whole country talking. Well, now those charges stemming from an incident in a game similar to dodgeball have been dropped. For the latest, let's get to Jason Colthorpe. He's in the newsroom with why prosecutors changed their minds. Jason.
Yeah, Karen, you're not kidding. The whole country talking about this. Well, Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy saying today she hopes the parents involved can work this out without her office getting involved. 10-year-old Bryce Lindley was facing an aggravated assault charge for throwing a ball at a 9-year-old classmate at Erickson Elementary in April. They were playing a game called Tips, where players throw a rubber ball into the air and they jump and catch it. Prosecutors say when the game ended, Bryce forcefully threw the ball at the 9-year-old, causing him to suffer a concussion. That boy's mother says her son has a medical condition that makes head injuries dangerous. Bryce says the two were friends and just playing a game. Kim Worthy's office says the decision to drop the charges was not because of public backlash, but Bryce's mother thinks otherwise.
Bryce is only 10 years old. To charge a child with aggravated assault who was playing a game is not okay. It's not okay. And he doesn't even realize how much something like this is going to change his life forever.
Now, the prosecutor's office didn't want to talk about the case, but released a statement. Kim Worthy saying this: while the charge in this case is certainly sustainable, I have instructed my staff to dismiss this case today. It's my earnest hope that both sides will come back to the table to work out a solution that benefits both of these children. Bryce's mother says she has not spoken to the 9-year-old's mother. We have calls into the school to find out about why that boy was allowed to play tips in the first place with his medical condition. But again, a big talker around this area, around the state, everywhere. Karen.
Definitely a hot topic. Yeah. All right, we appreciate it, Jason. See you at 5. The man accused of brutally beating a 24-year-old man to death remains behind bars this afternoon. A judge denied bail to Lawrence Davis after he was charged with the murder of Tyler Wingate. Prosecutors say Davis beat Wingate to death after a minor car crash outside of a gas station in Detroit. Davis was arrested yesterday afternoon at an apartment complex on 8 Mile. He'll be back in court next month. Police say a man died this morning in East Point after having a medical emergency and slamming his truck into a home. This happened on 9 Mile near Linwood. Police say the man passed out at the wheel while his foot was on the gas pedal. After the crash, the homeowner ran out of the house to try and help.
You know, I saw the truck sticking out of the house, and I ran into the basement, and it was full of smoke, and the guy was unresponsive, and I managed to shut the truck off.
No one inside the home was hurt. Police have not revealed what type of medical emergency the man was having before that crash. Victims of unsolved crimes may get a second chance for justice. Today, several agencies, including the FBI, were out at United Memorial Gardens Cemetery. That's in Plymouth. They were exhuming remains of unidentified murder victims. This is part of an investigation that began back in May when authorities were digging at a cemetery in Canton. Police hope that finding the remains will lead to clues that could help them close those unsolved cases. We are halfway through the showdown in Motown. Democrats battling to be president will be in downtown Detroit. Tonight, these 10 candidates get their turn to grab your attention, including frontrunner Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Cory Booker. With all the attention on Detroit this week, will it make a difference when voters go to the polls? Our Paula Tutman is live at the Fox Theater this afternoon with a closer look at that question. Paula, what are folks telling you?
Well, they're saying a lot, and it's very, very important. But first, let me just kind of set the scene for you. I'm actually in the middle of Woodward Avenue, and that is because it is shut down and sealed off. You can see that there's heavy police presence. Candidates are actually starting to show up. Over here, Norman, if you will, we also have people who are lining up to get in. You cannot get into this quadrant unless you have a media pass or a special credential that says that you can be inside that building in just a few moments. And it is a big show, but the big question is whether or not it's going to translate into people actually going into the voting booth. There's clear excitement surrounding the debate venue.
Feel the energy that's down here. This is exciting. It's a time to get involved. It's time to vote.
The pundits have made it clear the road to the White House moves up Woodward and takes a dogleg, up and down I-75 and across I-94. The Midwest states will decide the final outcome, which is why it is no coincidence that the debates are being held in Detroit. But while some believe it will translate into more Michiganders getting energized to actually cast a vote.
I hope so. Gosh, I hope so. I don't care who you vote for, just vote. Really, just vote.
With the way that the politics are in D.C., I hope that people will come out, and the only way it's going to make a change is if we come out and we vote.
Keith Williams, chair of the Michigan Democratic Party Black Caucus, believes if last night's debate was any indication, that may not be the case for Detroiters, Flint residents, and other urban centers in the state where voters have felt unheard and disenfranchised and not so willing to show up and vote.
It was 2 hours into the debate before they said anything about urban issues.
I've talked to people in neighborhoods. They're like, yeah, I'm registered, but I'm not voting. Yeah, I'm not going to. How are you going to get them to engage?
All we need to do is get a picture of Donald Trump and carry it through the neighborhoods. Because this guy's a racist. He doesn't represent my value, and more importantly, he doesn't represent a lot of people's values.
But I don't think that's realistic, and I don't think that's fair. I hear what you're saying, but I don't think that's fair. Is that really going to get somebody on Fenkell who doesn't want to vote, who says my vote doesn't matter? Is that really going to get them to the polls?
But we as elected officials and people in leadership has got to go talk to those folks. You can't run away from those folks. You got to go talk about their concerns.
According to the Office of the Michigan Secretary of State, 63% of registered voters turned out in 2016. Now, the more important number is 37% of registered voters stayed home. Williams says the work to get registered voters to actually vote will not be done at these debates, but by boots on the ground.
This is a great city. Downtown looks good. You got Tiger Still, Comerica Park. You got the ambiance of a great scenario. But the bottom line is this: it's going to take more than ambiance. It's going to take substance to get us to the polls.
And so Democrats are not worried about these folks lined up to get into the beautiful Fox. They're pretty sure these folks are going to show up at the polls regardless. It's people in the neighborhoods, in urban areas and rural areas they feel they need to actually reach out to and touch. When you consider how many votes they lost by Donald Trump by in 2016, that's how many doors they knocked on and how many hands were shaken. Speaking of the beautiful Fox, take a look at it. It is amazing, and there may not be a winner declared this evening. Oh, maybe there is. I think it's the Fox, and I think it's Detroit. We're going to talk about that coming up at 5, guys.
All right, we look forward to it. Thank you, Paula. Also new at 5, Mara McDonald will preview what we should be looking for as the next group of candidates takes the stage. Then at 5:30, we'll check in with Michigan Republicans for their reaction to last night's debate and what they're expecting tonight. Plus, you can learn more about all of the candidates at clickondetroit.com. Well, if you've been frustrated with the weather this summer, this week we could finally have some perfect conditions for you. Ben, let's keep it going.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be a really nice stretch of weather. This is not a one and done day. In fact, we're starting to see these clouds move out. Haven't seen a ton of sunshine in a lot of spots today. We've been fighting those clouds, but the temperatures have been close to 80 degrees. That is a little bit below normal. Humidity continuing to dry out through the area as well. So beautiful evening tonight. A little bit of a breeze. East Siders were a little nervous about that northeast wind today, but that's going to be calming down. And then we'll look for temperatures not only in the 60s by midnight, but overnight lows in the 50s. We'll check out those crisp numbers and where the weekend takes us in just a few minutes. Karen.
A quick look at some of the stories people are talking about around the world. Let's start here, where Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says he hopes nuclear talks will restart with North Korea soon. He made those comments after Korea launched 2 more short-range ballistic missiles. Most analysts say the launch shows Kim Jong-un's growing frustration that he's not getting closer to the U.S. lifting sanctions on North Korea. The North is also frustrated that the U.S. and South Korea have planned military exercises for August. Very little progress has been made since President Trump's first summit with Kim more than 13 months ago. And you may have seen this story on social media. Justin Trudeau is the first Canadian Prime Minister to stop at a gay bar. He made that visit to mark the beginning of Vancouver's Pride Week, taking photos, shaking hands. Trudeau has often reached out to the gay community. Back in 2016, he was also the first sitting Prime Minister to march in Toronto's Gay Pride Parade. Still ahead, first at 4, scammers always finding new ways to trick you. We have a warning for millions of people already affected by a big data breach. Plus, Dr. McGeorge is here.
Well, you know, Karen, when you think about someone getting injured during a fall, you tend to think of the elderly, but they are not alone. In Good Health, we'll talk about what's behind a growing risk for middle-aged adults.
Up first, a new billboard targeting Democratic lawmakers, including Detroit's Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. What the man behind his sign is trying to say. That story after the break.
Number 1 at 4, 5, 6, and 11. Metro Detroit's #1 news website. Local 4 and click on Detroit.
The next 10 presidential candidates will take the stage here at the Fox, and I'll be there to talk to them.
I'll be with the experts to break down what this means for our city. Join us from 4:30 to 7.